My name's Cameron Shaw. I am the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Pent Developments. My background is that I worked in Asia for 10 years. I was working mergers and acquisitions, working in property, focusing on outbound investment deals on behalf of Chinese clients looking to invest in commercial, industrial property, mostly with a little bit of residential as well. Before co-founding a company in 2012, which is a commodity trading company, and then also a biotech, medtech company as well. Then in 2016, I came back to the UK and co-founded Pent Developments. Pent Developments specialize in unlocking the value of unused rooftops in London using off-site construction methods and crane delivery. So what this means is that we are able to access sites which otherwise remain inaccessible. And we're able to bypass many of the logistical, practical and financial issues that a lot of rooftops face in terms of actually being able to develop them. So how this breaks down is traditionally there are numerous logistical issues ranging from access issues, weight and load bearing issues, workers in, materials out, materials up to the roof, and most importantly, health and safety issues. Working so close to the edge of the roof, obviously, there's a lot of risk to the workers as well as those beneath, the general public, those who live in the building, and just general footfall below. The way that we approach buildings is to we do a full survey. So we do a full site survey, engineering report. We work out the tolerances of the building. And then from there, we design our modules to be built off-site in a fabrication facility. We then prep the roofs using steel supports. And then the modules are craned onto the roof in as little as just one day. We're able to deliver a whole apartment.
Very good. And in so actually incredible. I never even thought about the dangers, the safety, the complexity of trying. I can just imagine bringing the materials up even onto a roof in a city like London. Never mind anywhere. It's going to be so complex. I love the idea that you can build these off-site and then actually deliver them in. So do you step in at the start of the process? So where do you jump in, and what services do you offer then for someone who's considering this?
So we offer a full turnkey service. We do everything from the initial site survey to the design, the planning. We have all of this in-house. We then bring our own engineers down to do engineering report, which is one of the most important aspects, of course. And then we handle the offsite construction fabrication. We have a separate construction company that acts as the principal contractor for most of our projects. And then we do the actual installation and finishing. So we really offer a full turnkey service in that respect. And then the ways that we actually work with people are threefold. So we act as developer for our own projects. So we will find roofs ourselves, or we will be approached by owners and freeholders. And we will either do a joint venture with the freeholder themselves, or a straight purchase of the roof, or we work on behalf of the client in a kind of contractor role.
I was always wondering how these rooftop gardens and extensions to properties would appear on top of buildings. Now I know that they're cheating by doing it off-site and then bringing it in, which makes perfect sense. Incredible. Do you think that people are missing an opportunity then if they haven't developed a rooftop in a city?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are various reports out there which, put a value on the unused roof space in London. One of the most prominent reports by Knight Frank estimates that there's £56 billion worth of unused roof space in London at the moment. Now, whether that's accurate or not, it depends how you really assess the viability of a roof. Not all roofs are obviously possible to build on, but there are certainly a lot of opportunities out there. And I think with everything that's going on with COVID, the pandemic, and the situation at the moment, I think a lot of owners are thinking more laterally, and maybe where last year they wouldn't have considered either selling their roof rights or co-developing on top of their properties. I think a lot of people now are beginning to be more aware of the value and the potential of their buildings.
Exactly, just getting out and having some space, some fresh air, seeing the skyline. So important in the city, as you're right, and as we're spending so much more time in our homes, I can imagine the rooftop is becoming very valuable in everyone. I see even ordinary homes being developed and people using the roof space. I can just imagine in cities like London how critical it is that those buildings are used. It just makes so much sense. Are there certain requirements that buildings need then to be able to develop a rooftop? You mentioned there that not every building could do it.
Yeah. So there's quite a few different factors at play that need to be thought about. First one, from an engineering point of view, need to make sure that the building can take the weight of the new structure. This is probably the most fundamental thing. You don't want to be damaging the building in any way. So there's kind of numerous support surveys and reports that we have to undertake before we can consider any rooftop. Obviously, flat roofs are easier, but pitched roofs are not necessarily an issue. It depends on the value of the site and what the building commands in terms of the values. But yeah, then beyond that, there's obviously planning issues, rights of light issues. If you are going to be casting a shadow over the immediate neighbours, then this needs to be factored in. There are a lot of logistical issues. For example, with the approach that we use with cranes, crane delivery and installation that way, we need to make sure that there is actually the right kind of site, the right area to actually have a crane. They're obviously big and heavy things, so we need to make sure that there's the correct access for ourselves. And then there needs to be the correct access for the potential buyers for the properties. So whether that's in the form of the ability to extend existing lifts or put in new lifts. If a building has already got the ground first, second, third floor, then usually if we aren't able to either install or extend a lift, then we usually wouldn't look at that property because it's just too many stairs. And you're looking at too small a pool of potential buyers at that point. So yeah, there are a lot of issues, and that's why it's important to engage with companies such as ourselves, because it's not rooftop development has never been an easy, straightforward form of development or construction. It's fairly high risk, and that's why there aren't that many companies out there doing it.
Yeah, no, amazing. I can imagine the complexity, and as you say, you can't beat the experience of seeing what goes right and what goes wrong, and being able to avoid those every time you're considering a rooftop expansion or extension. And we, in my mind, I've been thinking of residential so far in our conversation, but businesses would then have opportunities too. Is there benefits for businesses?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So there's two projects that we're working on at the moment, which are for businesses. One is for a nursery. This is in southeast London, and they are looking to extend the rear of the nursery and then add in 2 extra floors, and then put in studio apartments on top of the nursery for their workers. So they've engaged with us in order to expand and extend their business and to help their staff. We have another project in Northwest London, which is a bit more straightforward. It's a two-floor office block, and they're looking to add 2 floors to it. So the main obstacle there is just from an engineering point of view. Usually when you're doubling the height of a building, you have to kind of factor in that there is enough support structure there to take the new structure. But yeah, absolutely. We're also engaged with some pubs at the moment. So we're in discussions with some pubs to develop their car parks as well. Obviously, pubs have been really struggling with everything that's going on with COVID. And their businesses have taken a huge hit this year. So we're talking to a couple of independent pubs at the moment who have car parks and are looking to develop above those car parks.
Incredible. What a great way to use a car park. And again, we know, space can be, especially in city or big towns, space can be at a premium. So the demand for outdoor spaces is only going to go up, I'm sure, as things move forward. So obviously, we're talking a lot about the benefits of it, but talk to us about the process, because I'm fascinated with the cranes and all coming in. I know that's at the end, but what's the steps then in even considering developing a rooftop?
So the first thing that we would do is obviously a site survey. So in conjunction with looking at existing plans, existing planning applications for either the building or the immediate neighbours, we'll do a site survey. We'll have our engineers come down, our planning and design guys come down, and we do a full site survey. We talk to the client and see exactly what it is that they're after, what their ambitions and goals are for the site. And then we start doing kind of desktop study from there. And we really have to look at, surrounding area. We have to look at things like access to transport. We have to look at how we're going to put in new bike sheds, how the parking and infrastructure will work. If we're adding on say 8 or more apartments to a building, then there's usually a lot of requirements in the planning process in order to get approval for this. Usually in the shape of obviously all the health and safety aspects, fire, health and safety, but also putting in new bike sheds, making sure there's adequate parking for the new residents, making sure that you're not affecting the existing residents in any way. And in fact, that's probably one of the biggest advantages of what we do, is that we are able to bypass all of those logistical issues that residents would otherwise face in this process. So, we don't have protracted, drawn out periods of time where we're on the roof, we have workers coming in, we have materials out, and this can go on for months and months or even years, nor do we have to scaffold the building. So it's really the case of resident can almost not know we're there, and then there's a new floor above their building, versus the usual day-to-day noises, dust, everything else that happens in a traditional construction process. So I'm sidetracking slightly. From that point, then our designers, they'll be compiling their reports, and then we'll go in for planning at that point. We'll usually put together a few different scenarios where we think we can of what we can achieve. There's usually the high risk one that we'll go in for first. As many floors, as much space, as many terraces, and what have you. And then usually the planners will say no, and then we have to scale it back a little bit. But there's always a bit of a dialogue there. And then, we kind of take it from there.
Incredible. But, all these moving parts are so much. Is project management then, is it, very important to development of the rooftops?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're using off-site construction, you really have to plan everything down to a T. If you don't kind of factor everything in along the way, then using offsite construction can actually backfire. Because if you imagine building the wrong thing and then turning up to try and deliver something that's even a few inches too big or offset here or there, then the whole thing could be a disaster. So you really have to project manage, construction phase plan, health and safety files, get everything down to a T, and especially in terms of ensuring the safety of the residents and the general public when we have our crane days, making sure that everyone's well informed of what's happening. If we are oversailing anyone, then making sure there's all the approvals, permits, etc., in place for that. So yeah, there are a lot of project management factors involved that we have to take into account.
Yeah, and we didn't mention COVID or anything like that too much. Well, we haven't mentioned it too much so far. So have you found that there has been an increase in demand because of that? Have you actually seen it in the business inquiries?
Yeah, we have actually. We've experienced quite a dramatic increase over the last few months. I think kind of in line with post-lockdown, the housing market obviously has seen quite a boom. A lot of people are looking to change their situation one way or another. I think a lot of people went a bit stir crazy, stuck at home, and a lot of people start thinking, could we extend the back? Could we move? Could we put another floor on? What can we do to change our immediate environment that we might be trapped in for, touch wood, not that much longer, but who knows at this point. We've had a lot of inquiries from companies who own multiple freeholds on different buildings, as well as a lot of inquiries from private owners as well, who are looking to either extend outwards or up.
Incredible. And have you seen the same kind of impact across construction in general then? Is that we're talking about property prices, I'm guessing, but construction's gone crazy then, has it?
Well, it's not so much that construction has gone well. Obviously, during lockdown, it was very difficult for construction as an industry, and I think a lot of companies and a lot of workers were very negatively impacted. Especially where developers had sites which were still open, and then obviously there were delays, there were impacts on their funding and what have you. We were very fortunate in that respect. We had just finished a project just before lockdown hit, so we didn't actually have any active sites whilst there was any lockdown going on this year. So we were able to kind of batten the hatches, focus more on business development and kind of acquiring new sites for 2021 and beyond. But the industry has certainly had a pretty difficult time this year in general. But I think that now there is a lifting of lockdowns and hopefully that there is an increased activity that we're seeing.
Brilliant. And give us some ideas of what people and companies, what do people do with their rooftops? What have you seen? What would be the general trends?
So for apartment owners, what we've done a fair amount is to put in roof terraces for people. So we just completed a project in just near London Bridge, where the owner initially had planning approval for 85 square meters, 3-bed apartment with no terraces or balconies or any external space. We were able to go through planning, and we achieved 4 balconies, 1 for each of the bedrooms. We increased the internal envelope to 142 square meters. The living room has a 8 meter by 1.5 meter balcony coming off it. And then above, we were able to get approval for an 85 square meter roof terrace, which has completely transformed the property and probably added close to £1 million worth of value to the property, according to some of the agents who we spoke to. So this roof terrace is quite special. It has a hot tub, it has a dining area, a seating area, and the vegetation, especially, is more sought after with everything that's happening. So I think, just having some external space now, especially in central London, is just becoming more and more sought after. So if we can be, adding on terraces and increasing internal space as well, then it's pretty important to a lot of people.
Sounds incredible. I can just visualize that now, looking over London in a hot tub.
Yeah, I'll photos.
It sounds incredible, yeah, for sure. No, amazing. And what's next for yourselves? In Pent Developments, what's the future hold? It sounds like it's getting quite busy.
It is, yeah. Next year we're probably doing between 40 and 50 apartments. Lockdowns, allowing. But so we have some quite large sites kicking off next year. We're also opening up our own fabrication facility in London. So we'll be as far as I know, the only one who has their own factory in London. And this is essentially a finishing facility. So the modules arrive, the steel structure of the modules arrive, and then we do all of the fit out, all of the internals, the finishings. So people will be able to come, private owners will be able to come to our facility and then pick out all the materials that they want. And then we will essentially give them 3D walk around, CGI, Oculus goggles and everything, so they can walk around, visualize what their new apartment or space is going to look like, and then they can actually come and see it evolve. And if before we deliver they suddenly realize that that window is too small, or actually we hate this floor, then we can change that in our facility. So it's essentially going to allow entirely bespoke and custom built, custom delivered penthouses, apartments, and extensions for the London clientele. So this is something we're obviously very excited about, and we've had some really favourable feedback from our clients and investors alike. So yeah, that's the main thing that is happening in the next few months.
Sounds incredible. No, amazing. And best of luck with that for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing the updates and all these beautiful properties. The case studies come up on the website as well. Someone watching this and wants to talk to you about a rooftop expansion in London. What's the best way for them to get in touch or to find out about yourselves or get in contact?
So via the website, we have contact details there, or they can email me directly at cameron@pentdevelopments.com. It's probably the best way, or they're very welcome to reach out to me via LinkedIn or any other social media as well.
Amazing. Excellent. Well, Cameron, again, thank you very much for your time today and
thank you.
Explaining the world of rooftop development in London. Really insightful. And again, what we'll do is make sure if anyone's interested, we'll have beneath this video, there's links to your website and to your LinkedIn profile. So anyone can just quickly click through and get in touch. And hopefully we'll have some listeners who will be doing that. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you yourself. Have a great
go.
Christmas and New Year, and best of luck to 2021. I hope it's better for all of us.
No, thank you for that, for sure. That's very true. And thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed today's insightful video. Really interesting to hear what's happening in the rooftops in London. I'm sure it's happening across cities all around the world. But again, great to have a little bit of insight into how the process is delivered by Cameron and his team. Again, if you did enjoy this video, why not share it on social media? And hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Thank you again.